Hi everyone, it's Kimberly. Welcome back to the channel. I have your new moon in Taurus forecast. I haven't really tapped into these energies yet. I know a lot of you have been watching forecasts and you've been talking about this energy, and I think it's a lot more subtle than what's being thrown out there. We'll see. I'm being guided to use the playing cards again. I feel like one of the reasons why they're asking me to use the playing cards is because of the number sequences. So for example, the limitation of the playing card deck is that we don't have the major arcana, okay, except for like the jokers I'll keep in there to represent the Fool card. But so there's no major arcana, but the benefit that we have, and I think why they're asking me to use it, is because there's the mirror image on the card. So there is no reverse, but there is the double numbers. And I feel like maybe some of the messages that you'll receive will help you also clarify some of the more universal number patterns or some of the personal number patterns that you're seeing. So if that helps you in any way, then great. I'm not really sure, like I said, why they're asking me to use this deck, but it just feels right, so I'm going to. So I'm going to pull for the masculine, the feminine, and the masculine is how I pull, and one card for the combined energy. We'll also use, I think I'm going to use the past life, early life deck. I say it's past life, early life. It's anything under the surface. It's anything we need to examine. I feel like this energy, with this new moon in Taurus energy, is really all about how we're grounding in our dreams and what we're desiring, and how we're grounding that in, or starting to ground that in now. They're sending me a lot of messages about regimenting ourselves around like the practical nature of our daily routines and how we use that to bring things into fruition. Maybe some ways that we've been blocking ourselves. So that's going to be huge at this time. We'll use some clarifiers. We will use, these are all shuffled, you guys. I'm just giving them, I always shuffle them before I put them away, but then I refresh the energy when I take them out. Sorry. We'll use the Ask Your Guides deck as well. And maybe the Ancient Therapy. Okay. All right, so how's everybody? So just a couple of reminders. I'm closing out SMG Summer Camp this week. I'm going to give it till May 10th and then close it out. So this is a 12-week transformational program for your ascension. It's for your healing, integration. It's to help you carry your ascension into all areas of your life. You're going to have weekly activities like that will be sent to you so that you can virtually access in terms of, this will be all sorts of activities, chakra work, self-care work, creative projects. Like, it's going to be kind of like a camp that you can just access on your own time. Then in addition to that, you'll also have directives on my online courses. Each week will be themed, and then you'll get the hand holding and the coaching every single week for 12 weeks, which is huge. So anything that you want to transform or work on, whether it's greater abundance, whether it's just mastering this balance in your twin flame journey, if it's healing the root stuff, and then maybe it's more of like integrating the higher level stuff that you've already been doing and the root stuff that you've already been doing and integrating that into the physical plane. Maybe it's a greater integration of your spiritual, mental, physical bodies, because that's huge, and that's what we're being called to do now. And that's why I'm holding this program. So it's all there. Check it out on the website. You'll also see on the website, it's my anniversary month, so I'm celebrating with a little savings on every session. You can use the code anniversary, all caps, when you book. And 2 new audio meditations that are up for you guys to purchase, only $11.11 for the pack. It's cord cutting and a 5D meditation tool for connecting with your twin flame. These are really great tools. They leave the purity of your connection intact. They help you clear energy with whomever you want to clear energy with. And also a very, very, I think, cool and profound connection tool to connect with your twin flames. A lot of you are asking, like, how do I do the 5D work? Well, this is a tool for you. So check it out, spiritualmaterialgirl.com, and let's get to the card messages. So we'll go to the playing card deck first. It's going to be kind of like a short spread, like a shorter spread. So Okay. There's a lot of newness here. Let's see what's underneath for feminine and masculine. Ooh, there's a little fly, like a fruit fly. I think there's like some overripe bananas in my house. Okay, so that's that. At the bottom of the deck. And I'll save the Ask Your Guides and this little deck for clarifiers, okay? So let's just get into messages. We'll start with the feminine. So, what was happening during the month of April is we were thinking, okay, we had this new moon in Aries, and we were thinking, oh yes, like everything's just gonna go on fire. But what happened was, like, yeah, a lot of stuff went on fire, but we found out by the end of the month that we were just purging so much, and there was so much that needed to be brought up and purged and burned and renewed. And I feel like we did renew it. We have got to this point right now as we're coming up on the new moon in Taurus here tomorrow on the 4th of May, where we have now transmuted that energy in some way. It's been burned, it's been examined, it's been looked at, and it's time to redirect it now, okay? So they're showing me for the feminine, it's the 5 of Diamonds, and this is like the 5 of Pentacles. So it's sort of like that abandonment wound that she's been healing. And I feel like this is what's being transmuted, because what's coming up for her underneath, or in tandem, is how I'm looking at this. It's not really underneath. It's kind of like in tandem. Like how this is sort of like recent past, and this is sort of like what we're working on and where we're heading towards, which is the Queen of Wands. So this is like her getting, I feel like, established in a new way. I see ears. Oh, I see a kitty. I see a kitty back there. It's like her getting established in a new way. And this establishment is now where she's able to balance her masculine energy and her feminine energy in like I said, a more balanced way, in a new way that's enabling her to get established in this life in a new way. So my Zoe has little neurotic habits. She likes to like wipe her paws after she eats. So that's what she was doing. So it's getting the feminine established in a new way. And she needed to release this. This is what's coming up, is release. And those things needed to be released. And that's a lot of what was being burned and purged during the last moon cycle. And I feel like that's why the last few weeks of April were tough for a lot of people, because it was that transmutation. It was that releasing. The Queen of Wands is like, it's her now going, oh, I can do this. I can do this in a way that is much more balanced, in which it's not from a wounded place, but where it's establishment from a very, very grounded place, a balanced place. This is where she's going to start to see some fruition bloom from. Whereas before, there was just too much swinging of the polarities from the woundedness. Whereas some of that's healing. And some of you, I know, have not done all that healing yet. And it might be up for you to go into. And that's okay too, because this means that like now is your time to do that. So you can head into this more grounded energy. I also feel like there's a way that she has been maybe running away from herself. And this is about her now coming home to herself and grounding into her physical body in a new way as well. Like really wanting to be here and be like where she maybe felt left out or rejected or left out in the cold before. Now she's wanting to be here and just be herself and be in her own skin and find a new way of doing that feels better to her. Now, underneath this is the male-female card, which is showing me, confusion. I feel like what I've been saying, it's sort of like representative of the swing of the polarities for the feminine. And, this could also be where there has been confusion about the roles, like whether that's been through societal programming or via familial programming or through looking at the role models and seeing an imbalanced, feminine and masculine. It feels like she's been thinking about this a lot, and that the healing is helping her to, balance this energy from within. And that's setting her up to harmonize with a partner, but also to move forward with her projects and her creative ventures in a more like rooted, stable, grounded way that feels much more balanced. It feels like it's really where she's able to anchor in her projects into the reality. Let's get some clarifiers on that. Sorry guys, my nose is a little sniffly, runny. Essence. This is about your soul signature. This is about the essence of who you truly are. And this really feels like that's what's coming through. It's almost like we're letting go of this confusion, whatever that's been, and just getting in touch with the song of our soul. And that's what's going to magnetize the divine partner to you. And I do feel like this diamond energy is very interesting too, because I'm getting a lot of like marriages and unions and physical unions and all of that. And this is how she's calling in the divine partner, by just coming into herself, allowing those polarities to balance so that she can. This is also about like coming in touch, I feel like, with her creative projects and her, what makes her tick, what she's passionate about. Let's see what they have to say about that. This is not feeling ashamed of any way that she's been rejected. This is now claiming those pieces back for herself, claiming them all, and finding the healthy balance with it. So, yeah, and it's saying that you're going to take the lead now. You're going to step out and start leading something, a new venture or an initiative, or leading by example. And I feel like you're leading with your energy. Just by balancing your own polarities and leading with your true essence and you're stepping into your authenticity, you're uplifting the planet, like by doing that. So that's huge. Let's see what else. And she's having some sort of an epiphany at this time around, I feel like, the way that maybe she had been held back by her own wounding. And it feels like a sense of freedom, of autonomy. And that's also what's coming with this leadership, is she's saying, I'm going to do things maybe in a new way. I'm going to bring myself the freedom. This feels entrepreneurial. This feels like she's going out on her own, but sort of lighting the way for others to do the same as her, to live her truth. So that's really important. For the masculine, we have the Ace of Hearts. We have a lot of heart cards, and we have the Four of Hearts. And this is like the Four of Cups and the Ace of Cups. So this is that new emotional beginning that he is making from a place, I think, of where he wasn't quite satisfied, and this is recognizing what he truly wants. It's so funny because we're at 14 minutes and 38 seconds, 14:11, and this is like 1 and 4. I'm just noticing that. But yeah, this is like really the truth of what he desires, and I feel like this is what's going to enable him. It's like knowing in his heart what he desires. It's knowing now that he only wants to fill his cup with things that are fulfilling for him as well. And I feel like this is like identifying his beloved and knowing like he wants to make a new beginning towards that, and the stuff that has felt stagnant or not fulfilling, he's letting go of. And they are showing me that with the delete card. This is, I feel like, talking about karmic relationships. This has also been how he's talking about his life, like where he's been telling an old story and needs to just tell that more uplifting story of anything's possible. You know, it's about the hearts uniting. It's about, you know, you could look at this as 11, right? Ace and ace, 1 and 1, 11. And then that's like one united heart. This to me represents union in this deck. Just the way that it's being shown to us. He's needed to clear out a lot of the ways that he's been relating to the limitations in his life, the ways that he's been stuck or in places that haven't felt really that great to him, that haven't been so fulfilling. He's giving himself the permission slip to walk towards, not run, but walk towards his fulfillment. And it's funny because the underneath, I'll show you what card came up underneath for him, but the bottom of the deck for the both is the karmic relationships. And I feel like a lot of karmic relationships are coming to an end or will be coming to a close over the next several months. And this is definitely the masculine, I feel like, assessing that karmic situation that is like, yeah, this isn't the beloved. This isn't the person. So underneath for the masculine is writer, scribe or writer. And I think that the masculine, some of the masculine who are awakening at this time, that are coming into their conscious awakening journey, like, you know who you are, or feminine, you might know like that it's your masculine. You have writing projects that you're going to be doing, like of a more bigger scale, novels, screenplays, things like that. You're talented, you're gifted, you're seeing things in a much more elevated way. It's art, but for those who are maybe just kind of figuring it out now behind the scenes and working it all out, I do get the sense that like they may do some writing. It might be like the intention of writing a letter to their beloved. It could be a text or email that says something from their heart, because we are seeing the masculine in his heart energy now. It's really about his emotions, what he desires, what he truly wants. And that's putting him in touch with this ability to express himself in a new way. But I feel like it's going to come through written form. And if there's communication with the twins, it'll come through written context first. Okay. Let's pull some clarifiers for him. So self-worth. So this is about, I feel like, where he's looking at where he's settled for less or settled for things. Maybe there's been some sense of codependency on his end. Maybe there's just been a sense of wanting to stay because it's right or whatever that is. But I do get the sense that like this is him coming into his knowing of what he's worth and going after it. And we'll probably see more of that as we come into the end of June, where he's taking much more physical action towards it. And then that right through August, we're going to see the masculine taking action in alignment with his newfound integrity. But a lot of these issues for him have been caused by this, you know, and for the feminine too, but have been caused by this misalignment with his, like, not setting proper boundaries, not lining up with his truth, you know, in some sense, he's looking at his life and he's like, wow, like I've created some of this havoc or drama or these places that I haven't wanted to be. Ooh, I don't know what my computer's doing. I've created like these places like of feeling stuck and places that I haven't wanted to be because I have not been living my own truth and really been in alignment with that. So he's having more pride, I feel. He's taking more pride in his own word and how he relates to himself, more healing the self-love issues, really looking at that. Where have I been out of alignment with my integrity? Where have I allowed myself to, where have I perpetuated, dysfunctional cycles, or even they're saying like things that have been, it's almost like the things that the masculine has been complaining about in others. He's noticing that like he has held a big hand in perpetuating those cycles. And it's because he's not in love with himself. He's not, he hasn't been willing to look at himself at that level, and taking control of his life now is what's happening. And, grabbing his truth, understanding it, and then stepping into it. And that's where anything that has dissatisfied him, he's going to step away from now. Anything that's been dissatisfactory. And that could also be like just ways that he has acted in the past. He's letting go of that, where he's been like indifferent, non-committal, it could be like where he stayed just because, or because it was going to make things easier for him, or there's some sense of codependency. That's all falling away. They're saying there's nothing less but the best for you, masculine. Like there's nothing less than the best for you. You need to go towards the best, what's best for you, and know what that is in your heart. I don't even know. I need to shuffle these again. So let's pull a couple of advice cards for him, and we'll shuffle. So we're getting joy and risk. So this is like where he's held himself back, because of maybe the way he's been talking to himself, or the story that he's been telling, or the self-imposed limitations, or because of the societal, familial limitations, whatever that is that's been ingrained in him. He's unrestricting himself right now. That is literally going from this to this. And he's giving himself permission to start anew and fill his cup. It's a risk. Whatever he's doing is a risk. It's going to be a risk. He's almost stepping forth, I feel like, towards the beloved, towards the, leaving of the karmic partner, towards the new life, and just in faith and in trust. And it's just, he's moving from his heart, which is really a beautiful, beautiful thing. He's actually got that down much better than the feminine does. Once the masculine comes into his heart, I see him having an easier time with it than the feminine, who has a lot of false masculine energy built up around the heart chakra. And as combined energies, we're seeing the 5 of spades, which is like the 5 of swords. Okay. And, this is like, they're saying that we must cut through any place where we're doubting that it's possible. And, underneath this is trust and faith and visualize success. So with everything, with your entrepreneurial ventures, feminine, with, masculine, with like the direction that you're moving towards in the creating of the new landscape. Okay. This is like where we are cutting through, I feel like, the self-imposed limitation, cutting through the old patterns, the old behaviors. We're cutting through, it now. And have we been or felt held back? Yeah, of course we have. Of course we have. But we've been also unsticking ourselves as we purge and heal. And it's pretty huge. So let's do a combined energy card here. Advice card. Joy. So it's like move towards that which feels good to you, towards your true essence, towards what is in alignment for your self-worth. Unrestrict yourself, right? This was the joy guides coming through for the masculine. It's okay now to release what no longer serves. It's okay now to move towards what feels good to you. And we must have courage to take those risks. We must have courage to do that. But it feels pretty easy and effortless when we're in a place of trust and faith. So if anyone's feeling exhausted right now, they're saying, as you move towards your joy, you're going to have a renewal of life force energy. And I do feel that tremendously for the collective. We must prioritize our health and healing, our regimens. Remember I said that at the beginning of the video, like that's going to be highlighted, like our fitness regimen, our nutrition regimen, whether if you're working on a project or a venture or something entrepreneurial or a creative project, like it's going to be how you regiment yourself to go to that daily and make it part of your daily life. And it's like that stuff will bring us joy. By not doing this stuff, we end up sick and imbalanced. And I feel like this Taurus energy is helping us ground those regimens into a practical and yet joyful way. Sometimes we think about regimen. Oh God, I don't want that. That feels like a prison. But I think for many of you who have struggled with that, this is about moving towards what feels good to you. Like, oh, that food makes me feel energized. Oh, that workout or that exercise makes me feel good. Oh, that little time that I just spent writing or doing or making that art, that merely makes me feel good. Well, then plug that into your day in every little way that you can, because more and more of that is going to replace this exhaustion energy that we're just moving out of, and bump up your life force energy, which is going to help set things in motion. And it's going to help you really. And also they're saying the way that we anchor in the bigger things is through the small baby steps. And it's about prioritizing. We've got to prioritize what's important to us. Okay. And so a lot of this has been releasing what's not serving us. A lot of it has been that, but we've just done that. We're doing that. We've done that. Now face the direction of the new habits that you want to create. This is a great time to start new regimens, new habits, new physical habits. And the bottom of this deck is completion. And it's like the ending of a cycle. It's results, rewards. And I do feel like, this relates to this, like letting a karmic relationship end for some of you, something that for some of you has been a long time coming. For others of you, it's like a hiccup. It's been a hiccup. It's been something that you like made a little mistake with, or you learned your lesson from. That's coming to completion. I feel like any cycle of stagnancy is now coming to completion, and now we get to go, it's motion, but it's motion in a practical sense. It's like grounding it into a daily routine. And then we're going to see the rewards of that. All right. And we really are going to see the rewards of it in June and July. So let's pull, I feel guided to pull a couple more cards. Let's use the Sacred Earth Oracle deck. We'll just pull masculine, feminine, and then combined energies. Hope you guys are having a good week so far. So we have for the feminine is shift. Okay. So I feel like this is shifting out of the woundedness and into the true essence, which is what we had seen. And that's enabling her to get established in a new way. I feel like this is also shifting out of the stagnancy and into, you know, leading, confidence in herself. It's shifting from an imbalanced expression of our polarities into a more balanced expression. And, you know, this is also balancing our chakras. And for the feminine, I feel like she's had some imbalances in her chakras. The way that she's been relating to it has been upside down. She's going, well, if I can just get out of my mental mind, then, you know, I'll be able to go back into like listen to what's in my heart. And they're saying it doesn't start from up here. Like balancing your chakras, it starts from your root. Like all of our traumas are held in our sacral chakra. All of the root stuff, foundational stuff, like where we didn't feel good enough, where we didn't have the love support we needed, that all goes to the root and like our stability. Once you heal that, then you can get rooted in your power center, into that trust and that knowing, into your true power, your quiet strength, your balanced strength, not your imbalanced expression of what you think strength is. And then that leads to an open heart chakra, and the vehicle of expression between your head and your heart becomes open. And I feel like maybe we've been doing our healing or thinking or relating to it like backwards, and we need to relate to it in the correct way so that we heal from the root up and we understand how it's all interconnected. Okay. The masculine, it's motion. What did I say? I said like he is stepping towards the changes that he wants to create, but I do feel like it's going to start with like, this is a little bit of a kickstart now towards the new that he wants to create, but it's happening in baby steps. You know, there's a bit of a risk. He's needing to really reconcile on the inside. That's what he's been doing, reconciling what his truth is. Now he's, ready to start stepping towards that. We're going to see that more, like I said, baby steps now, more internal steps, and then we're going to see it externalized as we move into June and July, and especially with a lot of motion and movement for the masculine coming in August. This I also feel like with the feminine represented here is just like moving his feminine energy to the front, like where he's leading with the heart, and that is really important. So that's a shift that's happening for him. And for the combined energy is revision in reverse. Beautiful card. So I feel like this is about revising the way that we've been relating to the possibilities, like where we have felt tied to things under the surface, because that's really what it's showing. And it feels like it's all trickling from the head, like down under the surface. And the truth is like as we rebalance our polarities and our chakras and we heal from the root up, we're going to be able to step forth in a new way, like with new life force energy, with this feeling of anything's possible, with this trust and faith that has been dimmed because we're looking at or analyzing sort of the 3D. We haven't really felt like it's all possible. And right now is the time to feel into the possibilities and make room for the unexpected, but also know that the highest outcome is showing up for you. And it's not what you conceive from your mind. And it's a reward, right, for the completion of this healing and, getting to the roots of the work that you need to do under the surface so that you can step forth towards your joy, so you can step forth in trust, so you can step forth towards success and renewed energy. Okay, and under the bottom of the deck is consistency. So this I feel like is related to your priorities, our daily routines, grounding into this energy. It's being consistent with yourself. It's consistently talking positive to yourself. Masculine, it's just consistently allowing yourself your truth. Feminine, it's like consistently, integrating the 3D and the 5D. It's consistently practicing the balance of your polarities It's being consistent with our physical regimen. It's being consistent with our creative projects and things that we're nurturing. Are being consistent with our diet and nutrition. Is being consistent with our ascension and like carrying it into all areas of our life. And why do you think I am holding that program? I knew at this time we would be working on this. And, I got that message. So it's really for you guys. And the bottom of the angel therapy deck, which we didn't look at before, is listen to your intuitive feelings, which I feel like is the motion that the masculine is taking from his feminine, listening to the intuition, listening to that, feminine. It's about getting out of the head, healing from the root up so that you can get rooted in your solar plexus and be able to trust all of those gut feelings, okay? So I hope that's helpful for you. It may not be like your typical moon reading or astro reading, but I just read through the cards, the collective energies. Whatever comes up during this new moon cycle is up, and I just give it to you the way I see it. So hopefully that was helpful for you in some way. I love you guys, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.